Charity Bowen. This is my observation presentation assignment. Opening wishes and goals. John had opened the session with a confidentiality description, then asked Claire 3 questions. What would she wish for about herself, and if she could wish for anything, what would it be? Her responses were pretty similar to that of a 12-year-old. Would want more time to get ready for school. She also would like to have a little sister, and then wishes that she'd have more time with her parents as a family. John concluded by summarizing Claire's wishes and echoed some of her statements. Overall, Claire demonstrated a clear, honest understanding of herself. The application of theory, we can look at Jean Pagot's theory of cognitive development. This stage occurs between the ages of 12 and 16. Children in this stage can think about and understand abstract concepts, as demonstrated by Claire when she answered John's 3 hypothetical questions. Claire could be instructed and encouraged through scripture that desiring time with her parents is both appropriate and natural, reflecting the way God desires fellowship with his children. Furthermore, God delights in bestowing good things and gifts upon his children. The 3-step emotional change. In summary, John implemented the 3-step emotional change method. Allow oneself to fully experience the feeling, intentionally choosing a different thought or perspective, and then spreading the resulting positive mood to others. He did introduce a 4th-step, which was to teach someone else these 3 steps. Claire shared that that to change her mood, she engages in activities such as reading, drawing, coloring, or talking with friends. John had invited Claire to explain how she would implement each step. John also maintained a light-hearted and approachable demeanor throughout this interaction. In the 3-step emotional change and continuing, the application theory here was behavioral activation, a subtype of cognitive behavioral therapy. It can be applied to the session and explain why activities like the reading and the drawing can help Claire improve her mood. Behavioral activation is rooted in behaviorism and is commonly used to counteract depressive symptoms by encouraging to participate in healthy and meaningful activities. Biblical integration. Claire acknowledged experiencing anger at times and feeling the urge to express them in an unhealthy ways, yet she chose to resist. The Bible teaches Christians to be kind and slow to anger. Claire, what's good about you? Summary. This session began with John explaining how a counselor can determine whether or not to include a child's parent or parents in the therapy room. He was also highlighting the important considerations for confidentiality with a minor. John then asked Claire, what's good about you 10 times, and it prompted her to give each question a unique answer. This caused Claire to pause and to reflect deeply and to really think about her answers. All of Claire's responses were focused on themes of effort, kindness towards others, and personal integrity. John then shared observations about Claire's positive qualities, and then Claire appeared to have a strong desire to be a genuine and accurately represent herself. Claire, what's good about you? Continuation. The application of theory, we see Eric Erickson's psychosocial theory, specifically stage 5, the identity versus role confusion, applies to Claire's experience as she seeks to affirm her identity. The central conflict in Erickson's stage 5 is identity versus role confusion, where adolescents work to develop a stable and coherent sense of self. The biblical integration is in this session that Claire expresses a desire to please others while maintaining true to what is right and honest. The balance is affirmed through Christ, who serves as the ultimate model of kindness, honesty, and moral integrity. Claire closing and summary. In summary here, John demonstrated supportive counseling by offering Claire encouragement, constructive feedback, and a clear outline of the plan moving forward. Claire repeated her wishes aloud, and John provided specific feedback for each. Claire expressed that she enjoyed talking with someone she trusts who is neither a parent or a friend. She also was more comfortable during this final session. Claire closing and summary continued. Application theory here again is the Jean Pagot's theory of cognitive development is applicable here as Claire demonstrated abstract thinking and engages in moral and philosophical contemplation. Biblical integration, Claire demonstrates a clear desire to be admired and perform tasks well, teaching her that God created people to work with excellence and can offer a foundational and meaningful explanation for this drive. TJ Anger Management Summary. In this one, you can notice that John's demeanor was more serious compared with the interactions with Claire. John had began asking TJ, if the session goes well, what would we have accomplished? John requested TJ's permissions before inquiring about his history. As John asked questions, TJ appeared to view his angry past with humor as he kind of chuckled at his own reflections. TJ expressed a preoccupation with weakness, stating that he views emotions as vulnerability and a sign of weakness. John asked projective questions such as what other qualities TJ would desire if he could not be strong. Ultimately, TJ expressed a clear desire to help others overcome similar struggles through his own experiences. TJ Anger Management continued. Application theory here is the cognitive behavioral therapy. Could be beneficial in helping TJ build self-esteem. Therapeutic dialogue has been shown to assist individuals with severe anger issues, reducing identification with their anger. The biblical integration, TJ would benefit from understanding that according to Scripture, anger is a natural emotion. However, acting on anger is an explosive or sinful manner is not acceptable. God desires people to experience anger without sinning. Lewis and motivational interviewing summary. Lewis struggles with a drinking problem in this session. He does express a desire to improve. John explores sources of stress in Lewis's life and paraphrased his motivations for change. Both John and Lewis agreed that Lewis should avoid making major decisions when experiencing extreme emotions. John validated Lewis's strengths while also providing genuine feedback. Lewis exhibited ambivalence toward his drinking, attempting to avoid heavy consumption in everyday life. At the conclusion of this session, John and Lewis collaboratively summarized their discussion. Lewis recognized that since 4 drinks can cause him to lose inhibition, he should reduce his maximum limit to 3. Lewis and motivational interviewing continued. The application theory here is the cognitive behavioral therapy can be applied to this session as it has been shown to increase self-efficacy in reducing alcohol abuse. This effect has been demonstrated in web-based CBT intervention programs. The biblical integration, Lewis would benefit from identifying the higher power he believes in as God, who is the ultimate higher power. Additionally, involvement with a church community or a Christian accountability partner could provide vital support. Sample CBT session on social anxiety. This is with Meredith. Uh, they begin the session. John and Meredith create a list of problems that she wants to address related to her anxiety. John asks Meredith to describe her mental state during and the anxiety-provoking activity. She anticipated feeling embarrassment. John asked Meredith to rate the intensity of her feelings from a scale from 0 to not at all to 100, which would be totally. Finally, John asked Meredith what she would say to a friend experiencing similar social anxiety. Her response would be that she was a good storyteller. The sample CBT session on social anxiety continued. The application theory here, to better understand Meredith Irving Goffman's self-presentation theory, can be applied. This theory explains how individuals attempt to manage the impressions of others form of them. Social anxiety often involves concerns about social evaluation. The biblical integration, Meredith could find comfort in knowing that God can use anyone, even those who doubt their speaking ability. With Moses serves as a prime example. Despite describing himself as slow to speech, God used him mightily. Mental status examination with John Summers Flanagan. This is with Carl. Summary. John had asked Carl questions about current time, place, and his own identity. Carl was very much aware of his location and recent events. Carl appeared somewhat tense. He did exhibit some behavior that was typical compared to an average person. John assessed Carl's affect and mood by asking how he was feeling. Carl responded that he felt calm. John assessed Carl's intermediate memory by asking him to memorize 3 words and then inquired about obsessive thoughts. Carl acknowledged hearing voices that instructed him to act but stated that he believes he made them up. John conducted a comprehensive assessment evaluating Carl for delusions, hallucinations, ideas of reference, abstract thinking, social judgment, impulsivity, empathy, and social interest. The mental status examination continued. The application of theory. Cognitive behavioral therapy could be beneficial for Carl by helping him identify triggers that elicit auditory hallucinations. CBT can also emphasize the importance of challenging and standing up to those voices, which Carl reported he has attempted. The biblical integration. A biblical worldview provides individuals a foundation for their moral beliefs, offering Carl a clear understanding of what is good and bad. Grounded in Scripture can give him stability, clarity, and when facing difficult experiences or when the voices occur. The learning application. What I've learned from watching these sessions, prioritize listening to the client more than speaking during the sessions. Even during serious discussions, it can be appropriate to incorporate lighthearted and humor. Some of the most effective counseling techniques can be simple. For example, John's repeated questions to Claire. What's good about you? Homework assignments for clients often involve the simple task of observing and reflecting on their own lives. Highlighting client strengths and potential is effective in helping them recognize what they can achieve in the future. Making mistakes is acceptable for counselors and demonstrated when John forgot one of the acronyms of the CAGE questions during the motivational interviewing session. Maintaining a non-judgmental attitude is crucial when working with clients who may differ from social norms. Counselors must demonstrate understanding and acceptance to foster trusting therapeutic relationships. And that is my presentation.